You're watching an Involve Me tutorial on the rundown of all the content elements within the editor. With our easy-to-use drag-and-drop editor, you can customize the look and feel of your projects. You can use content elements to add and format text, add multiple choice questions, image answer questions, embed videos, upload images, work with AI, and so much more. All these elements are divided into categories, and now we will briefly go through them together. So as you can see, I just opened up a blank project and I am inside of the Edit tab. And here on the right, I have all the content elements listed in their separate categories. Starting out with choices. Choices add questions with answers. And of course, you can customize these however you'd like. Choices also collect data, namely the answers that your participants pick. You can customize any element by clicking on it and then navigating to the right side of your screen. Here, you can of course edit the text, and crucially, you can select which answers are correct. And of course, you can do stuff like modify the text, you can change the layout of the questions, you can check whether or not answers are required for the participant to proceed, and of course, you can also select which answers are correct. This comes in handy when you, for example, want to calculate scores or have multiple outcome options at the end. There are more in-depth tutorials that guide you through how the scoring system works, and you can check them out at our help page. Of course, with the single choice element, only one answer can be chosen. With multiple choice, as many as you'd like. And the same logic applies for the image choice element. They work essentially the same way, except here you can upload an image and your audience members clicks on the image instead of on the answer box. So those were the choice elements. Next, ranking and rating. With the rating element, you have a rating scale. Of course, in the settings, you can adjust the type of the rating scale. So for example, you could have an opinion scale from 0 to 10. But of course, you can also adjust the starting and the ending values. With the slider, you let your participants choose in a number range. Here you can define the minimum value, maximum value, and the steps which your participants can take with each movement of the slider. So, for example, I could make it 0.1, which means that if I drag the slider moves by increments of 0.1. Lastly, you have the Net Promoter Score, which displays a ranking scale on a content card from 0 to 10. This is an industry standard metric for measuring customer experience. Next, we have the Collecting Data category. This category namely collects qualitative data in forms of short and long answers, number inputs, currencies, and uploading files. So, for example, I could provide a short answer box. I can customize how long the answers should be, and then I can also tinker with how the box presents itself. Number input functions similarly, except that the audience members can only input numbers in the text box. The same goes with the currency. You can specify which currency you're collecting, and then you only accept numbers. And finally, you can even have your audience members upload a file. With contact info, here is where you collect personal data from your audience. The most versatile way of doing this is using the contact form. Inside of the contact form, on the right side of your screen, you can scroll a little bit down and then add any of these categories that you would like. Of course, you can easily delete any and choose which ones are required to fill in by your audience. This shows up with a little star next to the required box. And then the other elements are just more specific ways of doing the same thing. So if I only want to collect an email, I drag and drop this. If I only want to collect an address, I drag and drop this. With legal and security, you can make users opt in with a checkbox. This could be particularly useful when collecting data and giving your users the ability to consent for the data collection. And here you can of course customize the text on the checkbox. You can insert a CAPTCHA to make sure that your participants are human. And lastly, you can also include an option for an e-signature. With time and scheduling, you can schedule appointments or put timers on your pages. It is important to note that the schedule appointments data is not stored in Involve Me. And also, no data is collected at all by the page timer element. With this element, you could put a specific time limit on each of the pages for your users. If you'd like to, by toggling the Always Hide for Participants toggle, you could hide the timer from your participants. It is still on the page and it will still be running, but your participants will not be able to see it. Of course, with the Schedule Appointments element, you could schedule appointments right from within Involve Me. Navigation and layout, these elements improve the navigation and the layout of your projects, ultimately leading to a smoother customer experience. An essential element here is the Next button, which allows your participants to move to the next page. This can be particularly useful if you, for example, have an answer box, and once the participant is done filling it in, they can just press the Next button and they're immediately taken to the next page. In case you have more elements on your page and you would like to make them feel a little bit cleaner, you could add dividers and spacers to make sure that the layout is exactly how you'd like it to be. You could even add a backlink and a skip link. A skip link allows the participant to skip required fields, and a backlink takes them to the previous page. Next up, we have static text. This is very simple. Here is where you add text to your projects. So, for example, a heading will allow you to create a headline and a subline. A paragraph will allow you to input a long paragraph, and the image plus text allows you to put in an image that you can just upload right here with the maximum file size of 3 MBs, and of course accompany it with some text. With media, you can embed media into your projects with images, videos, widgets, maps, or Airtable, which allows you to embed your own Airtable base. So for example, I could embed Google Maps and then paste in a specific URL so that I am taken to an exact location of, for example, my store. Of course, embedding an image allows you to embed an image. Embedding a video allows you to embed a video. With the video, you have a couple of options. You can choose the video source and then just input the video URL. And you also have some options for video controls. You could autoplay the video as soon as the page opens, or you could have your audience simply click on the play button. The widget embed element allows you to embed a specific web page, which could be an external tool, a service, or even like a YouTube Shorts video. It's as simple as pasting the URL right here into the source box. With Social Share, you allow your participants to share the projects that you've created on their social media channels. You give your audience the option to share your projects on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, or WhatsApp, simply by clicking either one of these icons. With social links, on the other hand, you can place links to your own social media so that your audience members can find you on other platforms after or during the completion of your projects. Within the e-commerce tab, you can provide your audience with a custom coupon code, for example. For the calculator, I had to move to another project where I could actually apply it. So here, for example, we have a custom price calculator, which based on the answers that I can provide in this project, such as choosing a sales plan, choosing how many seats I need for my projects, and so on, will calculate a custom price based on a formula that I can predefine. With the collect payments element, you could collect payments right from within the involving project, simply by connecting a payment processor of your choice, selecting the price, checking if you want a one-time payment or a subscription. You can collect payments incredibly easily. The calculator element is an embeddable calculator for your website, and the scoring element can show your audience their correctly answered questions, how many of them they managed to answer correctly, or it can even calculate individual scores in case you have different weights in your question. So if I, for example, went to my multiple choice element, I could on the right side scroll a little bit down to options and trigger individual score and calculation. If I would do that, I would be able to change the values of each of the answers. So for example, first answer would be valued at 3 points, second answer on 5, and so on. And then the score element would be able to calculate how many points exactly did I get for my submission. And lastly, we have the AI generated text. Here you can define a prompt, and then the AI generates a text based on the prompt you provided. The coolest part about this feature is that you could input data from previous answers. So, for example, if you collected a name of your participant and you know that their name is Peter, you could insert the answer data right here by clicking Add Answer Data. And I could pick, scrolling all the way down, first name. And then I could tell the AI to make a poem for someone named first name. So we can give this a try by clicking on the eye icon and pressing Try Draft. Here I'll put in my first name and wait a few seconds. And just like that, the AI generated a poem specifically tailored to my name. So you can imagine that this would be particularly useful when you want to customize the experiences for your users to the next level. So this was an introductory rundown of all the content elements that you can find within InvolveMe. Of course, each of these elements has a lot more depth attached to them. So if you want to know any specifics about any of these elements, you can find that at help.involve.me. And good luck getting involved!